Hey, let's go live to the National Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie. Lots to talk about. Thanks for your time. Parliament back next week. The Prime Minister wrapping up his visit to China as we speak. Do you think that's been a success? Is it a positive that he's been there this week in Beijing, Shanghai and Chengdu?
Well, we need to have a respectful, mutually beneficial relationship with China. They're an important trading partner. And you talk about success, I think the Prime Minister will have thought it's a great success, Kieran. Who doesn't love a panda? The PRC decided that they would actually get out of the locker room some great Australian bangers for lunch, Powderfinger and Paul Kelly and Midnight Oil. So I think from the Prime Minister's perspective, the romantic stroll on the Great Wall in the footsteps of his political hero, Gough Whitlam, it has been a great success. But I would question whether China sees it as a success. If you look at the China Daily and the commentary there about what was and what wasn't said about the status of Taiwan, and is it successful more broadly for Australia and our place in this region? I think time will tell, given that there doesn't seem to be sort of tangible outcomes from this in terms of the live firing exercise, an apology. China's doubled down. No talk, serious talk about the election commitment on the port of Darwin. We haven't seen any breakthroughs with political prisoners and the like. So a lot of things remain unsaid, not achieved. But from the Prime Minister's PR perspective, I think he thinks it's a great success.
I had Richard McGregor on earlier from the Lowy Institute. He's an expert on China and all things when it comes to Australia-China relations. And the way he reflected on it was like it was a traditional sort of visit that we might have seen back in the day of say, Mr Howard. There was an equilibrium in the relationship. But Richard pointed out that since then, China has changed a great deal and that there are many competitions across the region in terms of territorial competition, I think is the best way to describe it. And things have changed. So it's a traditional visit at a time in modern China and Australia relations where things have moved on. What's your assessment of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you don't need to be a Lowy Institute fellow to know that the geostrategic environment, particularly in our region, is most perilous. I mean, we have the PLA Navy circumnavigating our country, conducting live firing exercises, you know, on our doorstep. It takes a Virgin pilot to actually call it in. We've got disputes in the South China Sea over territory and the like. So there is a great concern in the region more broadly. We've got Talisman Sabre exercises being held in Northern Australia right now, and Australia's never been a bystander when it comes to defence matters. We're not the Switzerland of the South, and I'm very concerned that the Prime Minister's push for strategic ambiguity is not in our national interest, particularly in the situation we find ourselves in. He talks a lot about, you know, patriotic progressivism or being progressively patriotic. To me, that actually sounds like old-fashioned traditional pacifism. And I don't think that's the right stance to be taken given the geostrategic change in our relationship, not just with China, but more broadly globally. So it is a very difficult time. We know we're challenged also with our relationship with our great ally, the United States, you know, and some of President Trump's changes, particularly in the trade sphere, aren't welcome and really challenge the superstructures that the National Party was part of creating during the Kennedy trade rounds in the 60s and beyond. But it's challenging times, which is precisely the wrong time to being ambiguous about whose team you're on.
Bridget McKenzie, great to chat as always.